Shalom and good evening, my family. Coming up here because I came across a interesting article, and I like how this article is written because it's written for both sides. For many who has been talking about this topic, dealing with Yahusha Hamashiach. Now, I do speak some Hebrew terms, so Yahusha Hamashiach means Yahusha, and when we translate it back into English, it would have been Joshua when you do your research, but most of y'all know him as the Son of God. Far as Messiah can be found in the Old as well as the New Testament, and how you can find Messiah in the New Testament. Go to First John. It's not First John. Go to Saint John chapter 1, verse 41, and you will see the Greek word for the English word Messiah. The Greek word is Messias, Messias. Okay? So I'm talking about the Son of God. This has been an ongoing topic, and this article I came across really gives some good information from scientific information, archaeology information, also presenting both sides' point of view. So, for those who want to know about this truth, continue to watch this video. For those who are not interested in this subject, then keep going. Now, I do want to say this. The Bible teaches us about Adam. And when you study Hebrew, you know the word Adam or the name Adam means mankind. And I need to present this up front because this is not to make anyone feel less of an atom, less of a human being. Okay. This is about understanding truth. This is not to make no one feel like they are above you or make no one feel they are low. That is not what this video is about. This video is about truth. Okay. This is why I like how the Bible teaches me. I like how the Living Word teaches me. The Living Word teach me there are many nations and many tribes. There was no such thing as being labeled as a crayon color. Okay. In the Bible, you would see most of the time a person identified themselves by their father lineage and by their nation or tribe. They don't say, I'm black, I'm brown, I'm orange, I'm red. No, no, no. Even in Revelation, it talks about nations and tribes. Even in the New Jerusalem, known as the New Jerusalem, even the gates have the 12 tribes of Israel names up there. So this is why it's important for us to learn our nation and our tribe. Where did we come from? Okay, because then you begin to get an understanding why you do what you do. Where does it come from? Where is the root of this? Okay, now for those who do not know what nation or tribe you come from, our Father in heaven will give you the answer. I just use myself. He's given me information about my nation and tribe. Okay, and I know the Father will reveal in the right time and season. He always give it to me in parts, building me so I can be prepared to receive the final piece of the puzzle to see the whole picture. Okay. So we know all things are possible for our Father to reveal unto us by his Spirit. Okay. Even before DNA was invented, things are revealed to us by our dreams and visions that we receive from heaven above, and even the words talk about that. So now that you know that this information here is not to make you feel higher, nor is to make you feel lower. I want to make that clear. This is why the Living Word tell us when you look in the book of Acts and First John chapter 4, what we learn is that you cannot go by the outer appearance of one. You have to see and hear what the Father hear. The Father looks at the heart, and I have defined unto y'all for those who follow what the heart is. It is dealing with your soul and what spirit your soul is joined to. And your soul and that spirit your soul is joined to is located in the heart of the body, in the center of the body, which is your belly, your bowels. This is why Paul says, refresh my bowels. He's talking about refresh my spirit man. This is where your soul and the spirit of God dwells. Now, if you do not have the spirit of God, then you will have the spirit of Satan, one or the other, okay? Read 1 John chapter 3. Also read John chapter 14, 15, 16 of the gospel, and also read 1 John chapter 2, verse 27. When you understand how the earthly things are connected or going hand with the spiritual things or heavenly things, go back to Genesis chapter 1 to understand the makeup of Adam. For we are all the sons and daughters of Adam, all of us that are human. I put it like that. That are human. So no matter if, and we're going to use this word because this is more correct. No matter if you have no melanin, no matter if you have less melanin, and no matter if you are melanated. Melanated, when you look that word up, means those who have brown or black pigments. Okay. That and melanin is what give us color to our skin, to our hair, to our eyes. Also, there's melanin in the waters. When you read those sacred books, like I said, the Father didn't teach me a lot of things. There are melanin all around us. You know, that's what give the color to many things that's in the earth. Okay. And we can see melanin up above. Like I said, it's a lot that the prophets of Yah would teach you for those who have an unhardened heart and willing to listen. Okay? Willing to listen. Now that I said that, this should not make no one feel less or higher. Because when the Father began to teach me about melanin, and the Hebrew would back me up, Torah will back me up, as well as the gospel and the rest of the epistles that the apostles wrote unto us. When the Father invented mailing, y'all, it has a divine purpose. Okay? A divine purpose. Okay? And the Father wants you to understand what is the mailing divine purpose. Okay? Because it's in the Bible. Again, when you study languages and you're under the teaching of the Ruach HaKodesh, which we say as the Holy Spirit, okay? When you're under that, then you begin to understand why Melon was created. All right. So here you see a picture before you. I'm going to say this up front. When we go back into the living word, both of these pictures don't really line up to the true image of our Messiah. There are books that you can find that would prove that even the prophet Isaiah would say that he was not comely in appearance. That means he wasn't handsome. But there's also this book, and I talked about this book on the channel, as well as this in the playlist too of the lady talking about the appearance of the Messiah. And even the prophet Isaiah would back us up in chapter 53. Those who were drawn to him, they was not drawn to him because of his looks, because he was not handsome in person, y'all. And there been talks of how his beard was and how his eyebrows was. I mean, these both images don't match up to what was written about him. Okay, I'm sorry. These images that we see is not truly lined up what was written about him. That really talks about his image. And Josephus does talk about his image, but we have found that the heathens had removed it. But however, there was a European who quoted from Josephus' writings who included the description of the Messiah that Josephus has said about him. So we do have other books and other testimonies that will confirm what the Messiah looks like. Okay. So when we compare these images that we see of our blessed Messiah, who is the anointed one, you're going to see that both of them don't really line up to what the words say about him and also what those other books say about him. Okay. So now that I have said that, you can relax. All right. So again, I do want to say this. There's evidence in the Hebrew language. There's evidence in Torah. There's evidence in the prophets' writings. There's evidence in the gospel. And there's evidence in the epistles as well as Revelation that will give you the truth what the Messiah looks like. Okay? But I have to get this clear first because I'm not about to hurt people. I'm not about making a person feel less because I know what it's like to feel less because I am a melanated woman. I am brown. However, in this world of darkness that we live in, they classify me as black. They don't classify me by my nation nor by my tribe. So I understand what it's like to feel low. I get that. And I'm the type of person, I like to put myself in other people's shoes to see how would they feel, you know? Because we know when truth come out, it doesn't feel good, y'all. It hurts. But when we embrace the truth and we accept the truth for what it is, then the healing can begin. And then you can be restored, redeemed, healed, etc. And it will convict your heart where you can repent and make things right with the Most High, with the Son, and also with the people you have offended. Okay? Now that I have said that, let us get this out the way. There was an article, like I said, I didn't plan to do this. It just happened, y'all, that was on msn.com. And the article title is, Was Yahusha a man of color? Why this question matters more than ever. Story by analyst by John Blake, CNN. And this was put out 14 hours ago. Okay. Again, this is by analyst by John Blake. All right. He has some very good information. We are going to read this article word for word, word for word. But let me get to the title page. And I recommend that you print out his article for those who are researching and doing some things because I'm in the new world. And unfortunately, in the new world, we have been westernized. But in the old world, it will back up a lot of things that we see in this article. Unfortunately, we are still dealing with racism, my brothers and sisters. Whether you are Israelites or Gentiles, we are still dealing with racism. And because of racism, it has suppressed the truth. It has suppressed the truth. But now we're seeing the Father bringing the truth out in this season. As my grandmother would say, a lie go flying by. So when a lie go flying by, it create a lot of mess. But here come truth with the 9 fruits of the Holy Spirit behind it, cleaning up the lie mess patiently, patiently. Okay. So the title of this video with this article, this is something to get you thinking. Is Yahusha of melanated people or is Yahusha of ghost people? And in Swahili, they say Zeru Zeru. All right. You're going to understand why I mentioned this because when I'm learning about the continent of Africa, as I'm learning about my nation and my tribe, a lot of my people bear a lot of the biblical things. For example, when the Father was teaching unto me about the crucifixion of the Messiah, to understand when they did their prayers and to understand the phases of the day, I learned from my people that when we convert into the European time or Roman time, 3 p.m. Is evening time. Yes, my brothers and sisters. And the strong concordance would back me up on this. And there's videos on the channel that talks about our Father's calendar that's based on Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. For our Father calendar is made up of three lights, the sun, the moon, and Mazzaroth. Mazzaroth is a Hebrew word that you can find in the Bible, my brothers and sisters. And when you convert it to English, it means the 12 signs. Today, the Gentiles say the 12 zodiac signs, but for Hebrews, we say the 12 signs or the 12 star constellations. Okay? So, when I was seeing how my people over there was showing us biblical things, for example, we learned that the prayers that they did in the temple or the house of God, okay, line up to the same time of the events that happened with our Messiah upon the cross. For example, we know that he was crucified in the third hour. When we convert that to Roman time, that was 9 a.m., and that was the first set of prayers. Then in the Roman time, which is the 12 o'clock hour, which is noon, or known as the 6th hour in the Hebrew time, we learned that that's when the darkness came upon the earth, matching to what the prophet Amos was saying. Okay. And that is the second hour when prayers will go up. Then when we get into the ninth hour and we convert that into Roman time, that is 3 p.m. Okay. And that is the hour where our blessed Messiah gives up the ghost or gives up the breath, the spirit, and he dies upon the cross. And that is also when the darkness is lifted off the face of the earth. Okay. And that is the same hour when they give up prayers. Now, I'm going to give you the highlights of this. It's a lot more to this when we study Aviv, the 14th day, known as the Passover day, the what the Christians call it, they call it Easter. But when we study the correct transliteration, we learn that it's actually Passover. Okay. So for those who are honoring what our blessed Messiah have done for us, we call it Passover. Okay. So just to give you some understanding. And when you go on the strong concordance, when you look up the word Easter, it would translate, well, it would point you back to the word Passover. Okay. So another question you would ask yourself is Yahusha the Messiah melanated or ghost? And you're going to see why I use this word ghost, because our people over there on the continent of Africa use a lot of biblical things, a lot of biblical things. So to give you understanding about ghost people, okay, or why would they be called in Swahili Zeru Zeru, let us go to this article here. Let me see here. Is this it? Here we go. Because remember, in the new world, this is what we call the West. We have been westernized. We do not have the same understanding as those who are in the old world. Okay. So what I'm learning, I see a lot of biblical things in the continent of Africa that my people follow. Because even in some of their movies, they would say when it comes to 3 o'clock, it's the evening. Because when you read the sacred writings, you will find this in the book of Jubilees. And that book of Jubilees is written by Moshe, that our Father gave the third part of daylight over to evening. Why? Think about it. They didn't have electricity. Okay. Therefore, they got the light from the heavens to continue to offer those daily sacrifices. When you learn about the daily sacrifice, you learn that the first daily sacrifice was performed in the 9 a.m. hour, which is the 3 o'clock hour. And then the second daily sacrifice, which is the evening offering, was done in the 3 p.m. hour, or you can say the night hour. So now you see how everything lined up. So when we look at Zeru Zeru, when I Google this, it says that in some areas of the sub-Saharan Africa, albinos suffer tremendous persecutions, are considered the bearers of bad luck, and are called Zuru Zuru in Swahili, or ghost people. Now, my brothers and sisters, this is not the only time I came across this term. On one day on my YouTube feed, I see a title talking about married to a ghost. And when I looked at that video, and this is dealing with a video that was done in Africa, it was dealing with someone who was dealing with albinism, okay, or who is an albino, okay. Remember, modern day times terms um, don't have the same words as the biblical terms, but when you study the definition of these words, you would see how it relate to the biblical terms, okay. Now, we who keep up with this, we know that one who is albino, this is someone who is lacking melanin, no melanin, okay? Well, they are often persecuted, y'all, because of the stigma that is attached to them in the continent of Africa. I don't know about other countries, but I'm just saying in the continent of Africa. But I'm the type of person, I'd be like, why would they call them a ghost people? You know, here in the West, we would say they white, but over there in the old world, they would call them a ghost people. Now, when we look at movies, we often see a ghost displayed in the movie, like Casper the Ghost, as this puff of white smoke. Okay. And we know a ghost represents someone who is dead, who is not alive. Okay. So now we get into the root why they would call them a ghost people, because they are lacking or they have no melanin. Therefore, they look dead to them. And it does relate to the Bible. For example, when we look at Moses' sister called Miriam, she too bear um, being an albino for a short period of time. And what else I was going to say? And it will take us to Leviticus 13, and the strong concordance will back me up on this. Okay, so I'm just letting you know this is not coming out of my opinion or my belief. This is based on biblical facts. All right. So for those who have that Bible, we're getting to understand why the people on the continent of Africa will call one who has less melanin or no melanin um, of those people. Okay. So when we go to the book of Numbers, chapter 12, we're going to start reading. I mean, now I do tell you read a whole chapter when you have spare time. We're going to start reading at verse 10. For it says, "And the cloud departed from off the tabernacle, and behold, Miriam became leprous, white as snow. And Aaron looked upon Miriam, and behold, she was leprous." Okay. So we're going to click on this word leprous, and this is very important. It is the Hebrew word 6879. Okay. Now, to get the understanding about leprosy, there are many symptoms that goes with leprosy. Okay. Besides the changing of one's skin color or hair color. So when you read the book of Leviticus chapter 13 and Leviticus 14, you will learn of the other symptoms of leprosy. Okay. Now, in the Strong Concordance, you will see on the outline of biblical uses, it's said to be disease of skin, be leprous. Like I said, when you go to Leviticus chapter 13, it's going to give you all the symptoms of leprosy. And remember, it's more than just lacking melanin in the hair or lacking melanin in the skin. Okay. But what really got my attention was when I went to the Brown Diver Briggs lexicon. And when we go to this part here, leprous of hand, and I know this is dealing with Moses. Remember when Moses put his hand in his bosom, which is his chest, and when he took it out of his bosom, took it out of his chest, his hand became white as snow. So that too was letting me know that Moses was melanated. He had melon, but his hand was not melanated. It became white as snow as a biblical sign to give unto the children of Israel that he was sent by the Most High. So this is proof that one of the symptoms of leprosy or being leprous is the changing of one's pigmentation. Okay, so in Moses' case, it was a blessed sign by the Most High to give unto his children that he was given unto the children of Israel to show that he was sent by our Father in heaven. So take this time to pause your screen, and it does have other verses listed. For example, it does go to Leviticus chapter 13, and it does go to Leviticus chapter 14. So these are things you want to include in your biblical study. Okay. Now, to give you truth, and this is not to make no one feel less when you study about leprosy. We know through a certain lineage, some was unfortunately had to carry on that disease because of what their forefather did. Okay. Also, you learn that when they deal with Miriam, the father punished her like that to show about her wickedness. Okay. And it's another scripture in Torah that talks about it. And I believe it's in the book of Deuteronomy too. But he will often use that as a judgment or a punishment to let the person know what they did was not pleasing in his sight. Okay. Now, another way leprosy, or whatever you want to call it, or the changing of one's skin pigmentation, when you're dealing with the biblical days, I'm talking about ancient biblical days. And from what I was reading and studying, it also deals with the mixing of the fallen ones. So when you read Daniel's prophetic writings, you will learn that they too will mingle themselves with the seed of mankind. Okay. So giving you some history, why when we look at the history of Adam, why is that some Adam have no melon or less melon? Now, when we look up today, we're looking at science, we are learning that, due to a person's genes, due to a person's DNA. Okay. So again, do not classify one who has no melanin or less melanin, because only our Father in heaven can give you the reason why one has that. Okay? But remember, whatever the Father has sanctified, whatever the Father has cleansed, remember what he told the apostle Peter, whoever he sanctified or cleansed is holy unto him, and they are acceptable unto him. So, based on one's skin pigmentation or based on one having no melanin or less melanin does not mean they will not be received by our Father in heaven. And it also means they are not what's the word I'm saying here? When they become saved and sanctified, they are clean unto him. They are holy unto him. So we have to, my brothers and sisters, walk in the whole volume of the book. And again, be mindful when given such a topic as this, because it's a touchy topic. And I can see how it would make one feel less. Okay. So again, do not classify everybody under one category. um, you would have to seek out the Father to get the answer. Why is this so? Okay. I'm just giving you the history of Adam, where it all began, where it started. Okay. But let us keep going. All right. Oh, so now that we got that set, now we understand why the people on the continent of Africa, I'm saying continent because we have to remember the continent of Africa has many countries, therefore, there's many tribes and many nations there. So we cannot disclassify them by the color of their skin or by their melanin. Do y'all now see where I'm going with this? Okay. All right. So now we got that away. We see some biblical relations here. Okay. Follow what we mentioned is good. And the Bible would back me up that Adam, our forefather, was given melon as a gift. And that's a spiritual reason for that, a spiritual message. And the Hebrew would back me up. Okay, for those who are doing further study and further research. But let us keep this short. So the next thing I want to go to is this one right here. So when you see how the albinos in Africa are persecuted, which is wrong, I do not agree with that, y'all. All right, it is wrong. They are of Adam too. They are our brothers and sisters too. Okay. So I'm just using this video cover for example that comes from IB Times UK. You see that how an albino will have the what's this word I'm trying to say? Will often be called a ghost people. And we see why. Because they're called a ghost people because they have no melanin. So they will look dead to them or lifeless to them. And going back to the Bible, looking at Miriam, notice what Moses said to Miriam, who become leprous and white as snow. Okay. In verse Numbers chapter 12, verse 11, and Aaron said unto Moses at last, my Lord, Adonai, I beseech thee, lay not the sin upon us, wherein we have done foolishly, and wherein we have sinned. So Aaron is confirming that him and Miriam sinned, and this is why the father did this. Okay. Numbers 12, verse 12. Let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother womb. Now, Moses is saying something deep here. Okay, so let's meditate on this. He said, let her not be as one dead. Now, we understand the definition of death when we go through the Bible, especially the book of James. I believe it's in chapter 2. And we look at the gospel. When one give up the breath or give up the spirit, the body is lifeless. And there's a change in the color or there's a change in the pigmentation of the body, as long as the breath is away from the body, if you understand what I'm saying. When the body died, there's changes that the body go through. Okay. So he's saying her, let her not be as one dead, of whom the flesh is half consumed when he cometh out of his mother's womb. So whoever's seen, when you see a baby is being born, if that baby don't take that breath, right? The breath of life, that spirit in it, the baby color is what? Pale. Okay, there's no blood flow, there's no life. Do y'all see this? So when Miriam turned leprous as white as snow, it looked like she was dead. It looked like she was a ghost. So now you begin to get the understanding why the people of the continent of Africa label those who have no melanin or who have less melanin as a ghost. And this reminds me of also of my people over here in the North America, because I have kinship to the Northern Kingdom. They were often labeled, correct me if I'm wrong, brothers and sisters, the Europeans who came over here as what? Paleface. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. We get into the root of studying words and understanding why they say what they say. They're talking to something deep here. Okay. And it goes back to Genesis, the gift that our Father in heaven gave Adam and Eve. But let us keep going. Okay, so this is something that you can pause and study for yourself in spare time. Again, read Numbers chapter 12 and look at the birth of a child. Look at a child who have not taken that breath. And that child looks what? Dead, no life, in comparison to a child who takes the breath. And then begin to understand what Moses is saying here. Okay, so the next thing I want to go to is on the channel. There's a playlist series of videos. And the reason why I'm taking you to this, because when you read Leviticus chapter 14, you will learn that the Father put a plague of leprosy in the land of Canaan. And you understand why this is so important. So the Canaanites were plagued with the plague of leprosy. And the Father is also reminding how leprosy can even come into building like structure or the building materials of a house. So that's why I'm telling you, brothers and sisters, read Leviticus chapter 13 and 14 to understand the signs and the symptoms of leprosy. And when you do that, you can connect it to the modern day terms. Okay. So this is why this when I look at this playlist, it's point out to me also the Canaanites was affected with the plague of leprosy. Okay, so they was dealing with that too, because the children of Israel was coming in to conquer that land. Originally, that land was given unto Shem and his descendant. It was not supposed to be the Canaanites, but the Canaanites was warned not to do that when you read the sacred books. Okay. Also, it'll give you more understanding about melon, and that melon, y'all, is a gift from the Most High. It is. Okay. Something very important there. And I have seen some beautiful albinos. And there is a case of some Europeans being an albino too. I thought that was interesting. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that we're learning about. But again, do not make our brothers and sisters feel less. Okay. So the next playlist, oh, even with the eyes, science is proving that the lighter your eye color is, shows you have less melanin. Science had confirmed that the original man had brown eyes. So we're learning more and more every day. The truth is aligning up to the Bible. And I have one more scripture in the Bible that will confirm what I'm saying. Okay, so just bear with me, brothers and sisters, as we walk through this. This is very important. We lay this foundation before we get into that article. Okay. Now that article gives you both sides of the thing. Another thing I need to mention while this is pulling up for those who said, well, what does it matter? I don't care about that. But when we go to the book of John, chapter 8, and this is what the Messiah says about truth. We have to correct the lies, my brothers and sisters. Whether you are Israelites or Gentiles, whether you are male or female, whether you are circumcised or not circumcised, it matters. The truth matters. Okay? Because for me, it does, for me, it will not change my belief, my faith, or my heart, whether the Messiah is melanated or white. Okay? I want to make that clear. But the reason why we need to look at this article, it is about truth. And our blessed Messiah talks about the truth. No more lies. Okay? Because growing up, looking back, I have seen these images in my family's home. in the church that I had fellowship with. And y'all, those images are lies. It does not align with the Bible. Okay? Let's see here. Trying to get to the verse. I know I just passed it. And it's one of my favorite verses that the Messiah says. Verse 31. Then said Yahusha to the Jews, which believed on him, if ye continue in my word, then are ye my disciples indeed, and ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. And as I'm reading this, what some people don't know is that to get in the kingdom of heaven, you cannot be a liar. And that's in the book. Liars shall not enter into the kingdom of heaven. You can either find it in 1 Corinthians chapter 6 or Revelations chapter 21 or Revelations chapter 22. Liars will not enter into the kingdom of heaven. So this is why this is so important, that we don't believe a lie and that we don't spread lies, that we speak the truth. Okay? The next thing I want to take you to is Matthew chapter 5, verse 36. This is what the Messiah said. And this is how I know we've been lied to. Okay? And I'm so glad that the heathens did not take this out or did not alter it. And this was confirmed unto us about Melon. Okay? We're going to Matthew chapter 5, verse 36. And this is what the Messiah said unto the Israelites. Neither shalt thou swear by thy head, because thou cannot make one hair white or black. So the true Israelites, or the trait of an Israelite, this is a trait of antiquity. An Israelite only had black or white hair. Do y'all hear that? A Jew only have black or white hair. This is a trait of antiquity. It's also confirmed in the book. I love how the new go in hand with the old. It's also confirmed in the book of Leviticus. I don't know why my cursor is doing this, but let me see. Okay, here we go. The book of Leviticus. And like I said, there's different symptoms of leprosy. Okay. I do want to read this. When you're dealing with leprosy in verse 3, as you see here, the hair can turn white. Also, the hair can turn yellow. So this is why it's so important that we study all these symptoms, okay? But the part I'm getting to is dealing with the color of the Israelite hair. And it's in Leviticus chapter 13. Let me see here, if I remember correctly. Here it go. Let me see. about getting there. I think it's either in this verse here or maybe the next one. Yeah, the father's mind is dealing with the head. Let me keep going. Here it go. Starting verse 29. And this is dealing with the hair. Okay, when it's talking about the head or the beard. So we know on top of our head we got hair. And for the men, they have a beard. Okay. If a man or a woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, because when we say we know we have hair on top of our head, right? And we have skin where the hair come out of. All right, listen up. So if a man or woman have a plague upon the head or the beard, then the priest shall see the plague, and behold, if it be in sight deeper than the skin, and there be in it a yellow thin hair. Do y'all hear that? So that hair color has changed to yellow. And they be in it a yellow thin hair, then the priest shall pronounce him unclean. It is a dry skull or skull, even a leprosy upon the head or beard. So we do see leprosy can affect the hair. Okay, let's keep going. Verse 31. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull, and behold, hold on, my brothers and sisters. Sorry about that. Let me read this verse again. Verse 31. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull, okay, I'm speaking Old English, so they have to be skull or scowl. And behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and there and that there is no black hair in it. Underline that, y'all. Then the priest shall shut up him that have the plague of the skull 7 days. So if he don't see that hair black, that means the leprosy is still there. That's the proof that Israelites have black or white hair. White means gray in modern days terms. Okay? Let me read this again. And if the priest look on the plague of the skull or scowl, and behold, it be not in sight deeper than the skin, and that there is no black hair in it. Underline that. Then the priest shall shut up him that have the plague of the scowl 7 days. So leprosy can affect a person's scalp and their hair. Leprosy can also affect a man's beard. But the proof that I'm showing unto y'all, I'm laying the foundation. Because this is why I'm telling y'all the Bible give us the truth, but many people ignore the truth. Many people won't acknowledge the truth for whatever their own reasons are. But we cannot enter into the kingdom of heaven with lies. So this is proof that an Israelite man and woman had black or white/gray hair. Okay. And I will stop there and you can read this whole chapter. I want you to read Leviticus chapter 13. I'm going to put that link in the video description box. Okay. And Leviticus chapter 14. Okay. Yeah, because there's leprosy can be in a person's home. And the home has to be clean. So I think this is a very good topic to understand what the Father was doing. I know this was one of the judgments that the Father put against the Canaanites, because the children of Israel was sitting there to take over that land because it was rightfully theirs anyway when you study the sacred books. So now that we got all that done, now let's go to the article. So was so was Yahusha a man of color? Why this question matter more than ever? So now we're gonna see from Mr. John Blake point of view. Okay, from CNN. Christina Cleveland spent much of her childhood in an evangelical church surrounded by traditional images of a porcelain skin and flaxen hair, Yahusha. But one day she came across a portrait of the Messiah that was so astonishing that she grasped. It was a painting of a resurrected Yahusha surrounded by his awe-struck disciples, including doubting Thomas, touching the wound in Messiah's torso. The painting looked like an ancient relic discovered in some long forgotten desert monastery in the Holy Land, a B I'm sorry, a Byzantine style fresco filled with sharply contoured figures bursting with colors of deep blue and blood orange. But it was another color in the picture that caught her eye. Yahushua was depicted as a man of color somewhere between brown and black. For those who print out this article, underline that. This is what this young lady is seeing in this portrait. And so was his disciples. So now you see that the children of Israel, we know their hair was black or white. Okay. Cleveland, who would go on to become a theologian and social psychologist, realized she had always pictured a Nordic looking Yahusha who looked like Thor. And that's true. I can relate to her. That was the images I saw growing up. Now she realized that he looked more like her, a black woman. So when you see the word black, my brothers and sisters, I want you to replace it with melanated. Melanated. Okay? Because like I told y'all, my skin pigmentation is brown. However, they classify me as black. But there's no nation or tribe called black. I have a tribe or nation, so does this woman does too. All right, let's keep reading. When I see the Easter story, forgive me, my brothers and sisters. Okay, when I see the Easter story, I'm right here. I see Yahusha being a victim of state sanctioned violence. I see Yahusha surrounded by black and brown people who wish they could do something but have no power in the moment, says Cleveland, author of God is a Black Woman. Now, again, this article is just telling you who she is and what she wrote, but remember, this article is by John Blake, using her personal experience. Okay. Now, you know, biblically, the Bible tells us our Father in heaven is a He, the Messiah is a He, and wisdom is a she. To understand that, you have to read the whole volume of the book. The Messiah tells us that our mother is wisdom. You can find it in the book of Matthew and the book of Luke. For he says that wisdom shall be justified by her children. So wisdom is our mother. What's done in heaven is done in earth. This is why we have a father in the heaven as well in the earth. This is why we have a mother in the heaven as well in the earth. Now you begin to see where they get their titles from. Adam was the father, Eve was the mother. Same thing with Sarah, same thing with Rebecca, as well as with their husbands. Let us keep going, such as Abraham and Isaac. And I see people being victims of a system that can't see their full humanity and assumes the worst of them. And yet there's hope in the end, she says. The universe does blend towards justice, even though the arc is long. Okay? The article go on to say, as Christians worldwide celebrate the resurrection of Yahusha today, Cleveland's story points towards an uncomfortable truth. The true face of the historical Yahusha looks nothing like the one many still see in their church stained glass windows, in Hollywood movies, or in the image many carry in their minds. So, Mr. Blake go on to confirm that the image that we have been presented over here in the West is a lie. It is not correct. Okay, let us keep going. Many scholars and archaeologists, now underline this for those who print out this article, many scholars and archaeologists now agree that Yahusha was most likely a brown skinned, brown eyed man, more akin to a quote unquote Middle Eastern Jewish. I'm going to say he is a Jew. The Bible make it clear he is a Jew, not Jewish, but a Jew from the tribe of Judah, and his nation is Israel. Okay? But he says that, but this article is saying that he's more akin to a quote unquote Middle Eastern Jewish or an Arab man. Remember the children of Ishmael, we have kinship to him. The Israelites do, because our forefather was Abraham. All right. A commentator once said that if Yahusha was taking a flight today, he might be profiled for additional security screening by the TSA. And that's true. Okay. So this article is going to say, is confirming that he was melanated. All right. He looked nothing like the image that the Europeans has pushed across the world. Now, not all Europeans are the same. I'm just talking about how the majority see it. And we're going to have an example of one who said it in the news. All right, but let's keep going. Some may counter with a big so what? The debate over the color of Yahusha is one of the oldest running arguments in religion. As a man who was raised in a black church, I wish they used the word melanated, but let's keep going. With a giant portrait of a white Yahusha hung behind the pulpit, I can recall many heated arguments in the barbershops and cookouts where armchair theologians insist that Yahusha was black, I would say melanated, by citing scriptures like Revelations chapter 1, verse 14. The Bible said that he had hair that was white as snow or white as wool and feet like burnished bronze. So don't tell me Yahusha didn't have an afro. Okay. Now I know many people are going to say, but that's when he's in his divine state, and they would talk about a spirit or him being like a ghost or something, but more they would say like a spirit. But I want to make this clear. Adam is made in the image of them, meaning that our Father has a head, he has an arm, he has a body, he has legs, he has feet. Therefore, Adam has a head, has arms, have a body, have legs and feet. And proof of that can be found in the book of Exodus. So we are brothers and sisters, whether you are Israelites or Gentiles, male or female, bond or free, we are made in the image of them. We look like them. Okay? So when people go on about he's a spirit, yes. But in the spiritual realm, he has a body too, just like we have a body. Let us keep going. Who can forget when the former Fox News host, now this is what I'm talking about, Megyn Kelly, declared in 2013 that Yahusha, like Santa Claus, was a white man too. And that's a verible fact. A remark she later said was meant in jest. So I remember she said it. I even saw that on TV myself, brothers and sisters. And many people have this belief. But going back to the Bible, this is about truth. What they're believing about the Messiah is not lining up to what the scriptures say, not lining up to what the Hebrew is saying, not lining up to what the prophets have said about him. Okay? Not lining up to what the Israelites truly looked like back then. They had black or white hair. Okay? But the question over the color of Yahusha's skin is a serious one this Easter for two reasons. First, excuse me, y'all. While the classic noted Yahusha remains a popular image today in some churches, and that's very true, a movement to replace the white Yahusha has long taken root in America. In many Christian circles, progressive mainline churches, churches of color shaped by the liberation theology, and among biblical scholars, conspicuous displays of the white Yahusha are considered outdated and to some offensive. In a rapidly diversifying multicultural America, more Christians want to see a Yahusha that looks like them. But again, we have to be biblically correct. Okay? But in some parts of the country, the white Yahusha never left. The spread of white Christian nationalism have flooded social media feeds with images of the traditional white Yahusha, sometimes adorned with a red MAGA hat. Let's make America great again. Okay. Former President Trump is selling a God Bless USA Bible with passages from the Constitution and Bill of Rights, a linking of patriotism with Christianity that reinforces a white image of Yahusha that is central to Christian nationalism. Let me see the key. So that way. I'm always gonna be this key home when you here by yourself or your grandparents gonna have it. Either one, okay? All right, I'm gonna be recording, okay?